talking about text analysis in practical terms here, I want to work through a couple of examples. Although in a separate video I talked about coding text and how and why we do this to get meaning out of it in a more theoretical way. Here I'm going to work a couple of examples. I actually want to work one example. And it's in fact the inaugural address, Barack Obama's inaugural address from 2009. It's one of those political speeches that's very tightly written, and it has an enormous amount of meaning in it. It's very tightly scripted, so it's a very interesting thing to analyze what it means in terms of tone and content. So what I am going to do, I mean, obviously you can read it, and you can highlight it, and you can scribble on it, and you can, I'll just take that much of it, right? You can do this manually. It's a short enough text. If you have a long text or multiple texts, it's not so easy. So here we are. We're going to look at a very nice tool. V-O-Y-A-N-T, Voyant Tools, which is an online tool which was built by a number of people in Canada. It's gone through several different versions. It regularly gets updated, which means that I have to update the videos and the teaching based on it. But this is, well, let me show you. Let's paste the text in here, right? And I'm going to, so you can paste it in, you can upload it, you can point it at a web page, but I'm pasting the text because I want it, just the text I have. So what does this give you? Well, wow, it gives you stuff. It's cool and interesting. Okay, so the simplest thing it gives you by default is a word cloud, right? Now, I've juggled the word cloud there. So the word cloud shows you the most common terms in use, and obviously the more frequently they're used, the bigger they are. So in the transcript of the speech, the word applause occurs a lot, and that's unfortunate. We might want to take that out. But obviously America, people, common, new. New is a word that he uses a lot in this speech. Okay, so it gives you a very quick snapshot. It's not very intellectually deep. It's not very theoretically complex of what the big words are, what the terms are. What it also gives you by default is where the most common terms appear across the speech, which is broken by default into 10 segments. So let really comes up to play on the end. Nation, see, nation is there all the time as a constant, but it sort of kicks off at the start. What's this one? New. Here's new. We notice new over here, and here's new. There's a big beat here in the fourth segment of the speech about new. And here's another part of the speech where he talks a lot about new. Right? So it shows you the distribution of the key ideas across the extent of the text. Now, Voyant can do this with multiple texts. It can do a corpus analysis. We only have one document here with 2,000 words, 893 unique word forms. Okay? The date stamp is wrong on it. Tells me the most frequent words. It does a variety of other things. It also shows the context. So for the most common term, which is applause, which is not very interesting because we don't want that. So let's look at nation. Let's click nation. And it breaks out where nation occurs. And let me try and remember how I make this appear. Term. Hold on. Oops. Here we go. Here's the list. Drop down here on this box. Drop down list of the most common terms. So we'll click nation. And it pulls out the contexts for nation. So I'm going to have to stretch this down here a little bit. It doesn't. The user interface is highly designed. So it shows you all the 12 instances in the speech. We remain a young nation. Greatness of nations. Prosperous, young, prosperous. Each nation. We are a nation of Christians and Muslims and various other religions. So how does he use the word nation? What meanings does that concept carry in his speech? The context gives you a lot of that very quickly. It can also show correlations. how often the word nation occurs alongside other words. This is going to take a while if it's going to produce anything particularly interesting. The other thing you can do is, and let's actually go up to this one because it's front and center, you can pick different tools. So you can use different visualizations. And some of these are interesting and some of these are not. And there are, I mean, this is where you get into text analysis with a good tool like this. There are more potential analytical tools than you can actually make use of. So looking at visualization, I can't even remember what some of these are. Here you are. Yeah, this is the one I wanted. This shows, again, for the dozen or so most used terms, how words are linked together. So nation is linked to words, age, remain, greatness, duties, mainly, to a lesser extent, common America. New meat, new age, new jobs, new era. You can see where the relationships and the strengths of the relationships and the important ones are. And by increasing, although this would make it slightly more complicated, the number of words. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Cancel that, right? You can then, well, as you can see, a lot of less significant words get included and the meaning will actually become less clear. So sometimes when you're doing analysis, less is more. Now what you can do with this as well, obviously, this is just working on the words in the document. You can do this, right? And this is important. You need to be able to get your data out of the document. So this little pop out arrow button allows you to export the view, the tools and data, or a visualization. So it allows you to export, in this case, well, two different types of graphic. Scalable vector graphic is more complicated to manipulate, but can be manipulated, or a PNG. So I want a PNG of this visualization, and I'm going to click the export button. And there is a thumbnail. You can either get the HTML code or the image. So right click or control click on the image. Let's right, which is right? Right click. Let's do this. View image. There you go. There's the image. I'm going to save image as. And I am, in fact, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to save the image in the politics folder for this year. And I'm just going to call it OBAMA Obama 1. It's not a very good file name, but there you go. I've saved that. So there's that image is now saved, and I can embed it in a report or a document and talk about the themes that it reveals. Okay, so Voyant Tools, reloading there now again, goes back to the start. Yeah, fetching the corpus takes a moment. Interesting visualizations allows you to see the map, very much time related. But what it will allow you to do, of course, is the other thing that you can do with this text. Let's make this go away. Is here is the same text, which is located, which I've loaded into a Google Sheet. It takes a bit of work to get the text neatly into a Google Sheet. I'm going to have to do a little bit of manipulation here because I want to shrink the size of this. Grab this column and shrink it. Right, but it then allows you to code. So I don't know. So what I'm going to do here is, well, there's a word here. Let's call this column war, right? Because no, let's call it challenge. Okay, because this. Gathering storms and raging. Okay, so if we have challenge as a theme or a topic we're interested in, it's there. And this one also, because it talks about conflict, it's there. So we can mark each instance of a theme occurring in the text in one of these columns, and you can have several different columns. So, I mean, the word America appears a lot, and you go, yeah, let's put that there, and let's put that there because the word American appears there. So we're going to take America and Americans, and nation. Let's just pretend that doesn't refer to anything. Here's crisis. Well, crisis, yeah, conflict, crisis, challenge. That's in that one. So you can manually code this. The challenges we face are real. Oh, look at this. The first part of the speech has a lot of challenge. There's America. Didn't we put America in there as a topic? We did. So you can go down through the speech and you can have as many columns as you want to. And then you can reduce this. Well, you can just save this. And you can just clip a screen of the first page or so of this to show that you understand the method of applying conceptual labels, tags, topics, codes to a text. If you were being really cool and funky, you could obviously, I mean, there's a problem here with the breakdown in that you have a lot of blank paragraphs. But if you suppress those blank cells, you could then take a column here and you could, I don't want that. You could actually take this column and say, right, I want to turn that column into a chart. And obviously this is going to be really very bare bones chart, but there's a chart, right? Because it's only the first couple of instances of the thing. It doesn't give you the full mapping across the whole duration of the speech, but you can do that. And you can chart, let's make that go away, multiple values one against the other, or themes one against the other, and see where they emerge. Or you can do, I mean, it's basically, the only limitation there is how far you can analyze stuff and how good you are at manipulating data in a spreadsheet, which for many of us in the humanities, not so great, which is why we tend to rely on the more expensive custom packages for data analysis, where you put the data in, you apply the codes, and some of the coding tools that actually, in the quite sophisticated packages, delete that chart to get it out of the way, use a spreadsheet style interface to apply the codes. And then allow you to do all they then have a push button that will produce the mapping and the graphs and the analysis and the stats for you. And if you get to doing a serious research project with a lot of qualitative data, then you need to think about, which ones of these you're going to use and how you're going to use it. But the important thing here is that you understand the principle, that you understand the theory of why we code stuff to extract and make clear the meaning in ways that we can then share, and how we do this in a practical way using a couple of simple tools, either a simple spreadsheet, or you could also do it in Word using multicolored annotations or highlights for the different codes, but that would get very messy very quickly with overlapping codes. And it is then, of course, almost impossible to chart or graph or visualize the relationships unless you do it in a spreadsheet or in something like Voyant, where it will automatically produce the visualizations for you and you can grab them and put them out. And there are things you can do here. You can increase and decrease the number of terms. You can change the words. You can decide to edit the stop list so that it doesn't pay any attention to the word applause and get rid of that. So there's various things you can do with that if you need to dig into it. If you have a body of data that you want to put in, and you can analyze quite large quantities of text, a corpus with many documents, up to a certain level. So what's important here is that you understand on two things. One is why you do it, what it reveals, the whole importance of language and symbols and meaning that is buried within various types of text. And of course, Voyant and doing the text analysis in a spreadsheet will only work with text. But the same principle applies to coding, video, audio, images, whatever. And obviously it's very easy now. There's a number of ways that you can reduce, for instance, audio by automatic transcription to text. So you can convert interviews to text to analyze them. and then produce results and compare the results one against the other, as long as your coding is consistent across the different tools. So that's the practical side within the limits of what we can do with tools that are freely available for coding and, big mouthful here, qualitative data analysis in the humanities. And the sort of, without actually going to the higher level of what is called computer assisted qualitative data analysis software, which is a real mouthful. And it's an expensive mouthful, but with simple tools you can do enough to get you started and understand the basics of how it works, which is the important thing. And then you can build on that understanding. Far too many people get involved in qualitative data analysis because they get a big, shiny, expensive tool, they feed lots of data into it, they push the buttons, it produces pretty results, but they don't really understand the basics, and therefore it's a case of garbage in, garbage out. So hopefully if you've got the fundamentals, you'll be able to think about your qualitative data analysis better. And what we're also going to do here, which I'm doing just in general, is, given the day that's in it and the month that's in it, because I'm recording this in November, here's the beach shot for a closing panorama of the beach.